Rasmus.
That's my fault. I didn't do it until now. So other people were missing it, and I just clicked in my head. Sorry, go ahead, Erica.
Okay, so I graduated Rasmus in 2018. I was the Marine Conservation track. My internship, I actually had 2 internships. My first one was with a startup aquaculture company called Love the Wild, and then the second one was with a foundation called Blue Sphere Foundation. Both I learned a ton from, and now I am currently working in Fort Lauderdale at a private environmental consulting firm, but my biggest contract is with Florida Department of Transportation as their environmental liaison. There's actually another person from Rasmus that I work with at FDOT. So basically when FDOT wants to build a road or fix a bridge, I look at the environmental impacts that they have and try to minimize those environmental impacts. I tell them what species are in the area, what permits they would need, so whether they need to coordinate with National Marine Fisheries or with Federal Fish and Wildlife or Florida Fish and Wildlife. I'm the one that kind of leads all that for Florida Department of Transportation. And like everyone else, if you guys have any questions about Miami, about Rasmus, please feel free to reach out. I had a great experience with Rasmus, and my relationships that I've made with all my Rasmus mentors and faculty and staff, they have really helped me continue to grow. Even to this day, even though I graduated years ago, I still keep a really good relationship with all of them. So yeah, it's a really great family to be a part of.
Thanks, Erica. All right, next we've got Michelle Gralty.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Michelle Gralty. I graduated in the class of 2018, and I was in the Marine Conservation track. When I was at Rasmus, I focused a lot on coral reef ecology and international ocean policy. And then I did my internship with the Florida chapter of the Nature Conservancy, researching Florida's coasts of the future and incorporating green spaces into existing cities as part of work on their strategic 2045 Florida plan for the state. And when I completed my internship, I moved back home to the DC area, and I did some more work up there with Marcus at the National Marine Sanctuary Foundation, working on their science and conservation projects. And I also did government relations for Ocean Conservancy, which is a national NGO, but they have a DC headquarters. So if you have any DC NGO questions, feel free to send them my way. And now I've moved back to Miami, and I'm even wearing my work shirt right now. I work for the Florida Department of Environmental Protection's Coral Reef Conservation Program, which is headquartered here in Miami and in West Palm Beach. And there I'm in charge of all of the education and outreach related projects for the Coral Program. And I'm also the communications liaison for the office. And my one piece of advice for incoming students would be Rasmus is definitely all that you make of it. So if you want to get a lot out of it, you need to put the work in. I think the biggest shock to me, or the biggest thing I struggled with, was the fact that nobody lived on campus. So in terms of getting involved and things like that, you really need to make sure that you're putting forth that effort. But if you do, you'll find that you'll be warmly welcomed. I was the president of the Marine Science Graduate Student Organization when I was there, and I really enjoyed it. So if you have any questions about MSGSO or things like that, feel free to send them my way.
Awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, next we're going to actually go to Athena with underwater archaeology. All right, we're going to skip and we're going to go to Craig Purcell and have him talk on aquaculture. And I think Jordan Holder is also with Craig right now, who can also then talk about TME.
Thanks, Josh. Hey guys, I'm Craig Purcell. So I have a little different story maybe for some of you MPS applicants that are a little older. I actually got my degree in business finance and worked in business finance world for in Chicago for about 7 years. I decided to go back to school and get rid of those corporate handcuffs. And I applied to the MPS program, and that was back in 2013. I was accepted into the aquaculture program, and I immediately knew I was going to love it. I started immediately doing research at the fish hatchery, and Dr. Brunetti allows a lot of freedom for what you'd like to research, and I decided to study stone crabs. Excuse me. So Dr. Brunetti liked my research, and he actually took me on as an MS student after the first semester. And from there, I was able to complete my thesis on stone crab larval development, which is pretty cool. And then after that, I graduated, and I got a job as a larval rearing hatchery manager in Hawaii, in Kona. I worked there for about a year, and then I came back because I love Rasmus so much, and I started at Rasmus as a senior program coordinator, so a lot of you will see me on campus if you're coming. And then I also started as a part-time lecturer teaching the GIS, Intro to GIS course. So if any of you are taking that, you might have me as your professor next year. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, obviously feel free to ask. You can also even email, if I might have to leave the Zoom meeting a little early because we're getting a little termite tenting today. But if that's the case, you can actually just email the MPS inbox. So it's MPS@Rasmus. A lot of you already know that address. You can just, I check that every day. So go ahead and do that. But yeah, just let me know if you have any questions. And I want to have Jordan Holder jump on real quick. He's actually my roommate and also an MPS grad. And he's going to tell you, he was a tropical marine. He's going to tell you a little bit about his experience.
All right, hey guys, how's it going? My name is Jordan, and I'm kind of pinch hitting here. And so this might be a little more brief than others, and some things may have already been said. But yeah, so basically in undergrad, I studied biology, specifically cellular molecular biology, but I wasn't exactly sure if I wanted to continue down that route. And I was like, nah, you know, I'm more of a field person. I don't like being cooped up in the lab all day. So I was like, why not? Let's go for this MPS program. So I entered into the TME track in the fall of 2017, and that track is great if you're someone who is field oriented, wants to be out there doing hands-on stuff in tropical marine ecology. And so, yeah, I completed the 2 semesters of courses, and then I interned at Dry Tortugas National Park as a lionfish intern, which was absolutely great because basically, I was just a able-bodied diver who people wanted to use for various research projects. Our primary focus was spearing invasive lionfish, but at the same time, other groups would come through and they, like I said, would need divers to do fish counts or do coral surveys or do disease surveys and things like that. So I got roped into a lot of other things. And I think that was the most important thing I got out of the whole program is that networking opportunity, which somebody's probably already said this before, but that is like the most crucial thing that you could possibly get out of this program is the networking. And I think I heard Michelle say too, that it's all about what you make of it. And so you have to make those connections. You got to put yourself out there, send those emails to professors whose work you're interested in. You might not get an answer right away because a lot of people are very busy. Or you might get a one-word answer, but hey, you got to try, you got to do it. So yeah, that was great. Unfortunately, I don't think the internship that I had is offered anymore, but there's definitely a number of other great field-oriented internships that come out each year with the Park Service. So I actually finished my internship at the Dry Tortugas, and some positions were opening up at Biscayne National Park, which is, it stretches basically from the Miami area down to the beginning of the Florida Keys, Key Largo. And so I ended up getting a job there right afterwards. One, mainly because I actually met my boss out of the Dry Tortugas right before the internship I had ended. So again, another piece of evidence that networking is crucial. But yeah, let's see. So I'm trying to think of so now I'm actually working on coral restoration. The team that I'm a part of was hired to complete remediation from Hurricane Irma. So we're doing a lot of marine debris cleanups. We're doing active coral restoration. We're doing larval propagation and things like that. And so, like I said, we were hired for that specific project. And that's something that you might encounter once you're out, is that you may have to just take positions that are term or are funded on soft money. So it's not a permanent position for a little while. You have to be willing to bounce around, because a lot of the time that's how the jobs in the specific field that I'm in are. It's project based and things are subject to change. And the main thing is you just got to be willing to tough it out for a little while, be adaptable, and eventually, from what I've heard from a lot of people who are superior to me, that eventually you'll get a permanent position, hopefully, fingers crossed. So boom, that's my experience. Thank you.
Thanks, Jordan. All right, we're going to go to Athena next.
Hi, everyone. I'm a current MPS student in the underwater archaeology program. I'm also currently the MPS office student assistant, so some of you might have gotten emails from me. I really love the underwater archaeology program here because we are located so centrally and in such a beautiful place. That spring semester, the second semester of underwater archaeology, we're pretty much in the field for every class. We get lots of hands-on experience on different shipwreck sites, and it's pretty amazing. We also get opportunities to volunteer with NOAA or the National Park Service. We also got to help out with the state underwater archaeologist the last 2 years, so that's been pretty cool. I also got the chance to do some field work with the Lost Ships of Cortez project in Mexico last summer. So, and it's not just underwater archaeology. All of these degrees have lots of field work that you can do and lots of opportunities for you to volunteer. And like everyone's been saying, network and meet lots of really cool people. So it's great. And I'm currently doing my internship with Biscayne National Park. And I'm happy to answer any questions. If you have questions about underwater archaeology or another program, you can reach me through the MPS email, or I'll also post my email. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions.
Thanks, Athena. I'm going to run to Alex Norelli next, because I know she's been having some internet issues, so hopefully we can get her in really quick.
Hi guys, hopefully my video might work and hold up for this time. I was an MPS student 2 years ago, and I completed my MPS in Fisheries Management and Conservation. My internship involved working across the street with people at NOAA Fisheries, and we developed a model that identifies where birders are birding and if they're visiting the Gulf of Mexico in order to apply economic value to birds. And so I know that doesn't really sound like fisheries, but we use a lot of the same concepts when we build models in fisheries. So that's kind of how that ended up happening. And we're using it as an ecosystem indicator. So it was a very cool project. And now I'm actually doing my PhD at Erasmus. And I now study tropical tuna movements in the Atlantic. So much more fisheries-based project, but I'm still using all of those spatial statistics skills that I built during my MPS. So definitely feel free to ask me any questions related to the fisheries track, any questions about transferring from MPS and eventually going on to get my PhD, whether that's getting your PhD elsewhere or here, how that kind of transition felt. So definitely send me any questions you have. My email is open, and yeah, I think I covered everything, hopefully.
Thanks, Alex. All right, next we're going to go to Harrison Albert.
Hi, everyone. My name is Harrison. I'm a triple graduate of the University of Miami. I went here for my undergraduate degree, majoring in marine affairs and minoring in psychology. And then I went to the MPS program at Erasmus and completed it in marine mammal science. So those of you that are marine mammal science students, your go-to for any questions. After I did my MPS program, I graduated from MPS in 2018, and I went and did a graduate certificate program at the business school at the University of Miami in nonprofit operational management, which helps me a lot with the organization that I'm working at right now, and I'll go into that in a minute. And then right now, I actually am pursuing my PhD at Grand Canyon University out in Phoenix, Arizona. And it's really cool. It's a psychology PhD with an emphasis in animal cognition. So I'm studying how animals learn and what makes them intelligent. And it was really cool because a lot of the foundational knowledge that I gained in the MPS program has really helped me and set me apart from my classmates in my PhD program that didn't receive that coursework. What I'm doing right now, I am an adjunct professor at Broward College. I'm teaching in their environmental science bachelor's degree program, teaching environmental science and how the oceans are changing and what role we're playing in affecting them. I also am the senior marine biologist here at Island Dolphin Care, which is the nonprofit I work at in the Florida Keys. And let's see what else. The program, the MPS program is really unique because one, its location. We are centered in Miami, and it's kind of like the hub of marine mammals, since we have so many different native marine mammals that live in the waters here in Florida and in the Gulf of Mexico and in the Straits. We have a lot of opportunities for strandings and rescue and rehab, as well as managed care opportunities for training and research. A lot of, like I said, now the knowledge that I gained through the MPS program and my coursework there has really, really helped me through my PhD program. So if you guys have questions about transitioning, I know someone before mentioned about doing a PhD after the MPS program. I have the experience of going outside of Rasmus after completing the MPS program, so I can also answer any questions about that process. What I really want to highlight, though, aside from networking, is the hands-on experience that you gain through the MPS program. Specifically in our marine mammal degree track, the hands-on experience that you gain with the animals is none other, and there's really no other program in the world that rivals to it. So those of you that are pursuing your MPS at Rasmus, you're in the right spot. Let's see what else. Oh, some things I wanted to recommend to you guys to get involved in while you're here at MPS is to really look into the scuba program on the main campus because there's a lot of really cool opportunities through the Scuba Club that you can participate in as graduate students. So definitely check those out. And also marine mammal specific, there's a marine mammal rescue team club on the main campus in Coral Gables as well. So if you have any questions about anything that I talked about, feel free to reach out to me. I'll put my email in the chat box, and go Canes.
Thanks, Harrison. All right, next we're going to go to Kat Grazioso.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Kat Grazioso, and I'm an MPS alumni from the Tropical Marine Ecosystem track. My internship was with the South Florida and Caribbean Monitoring Network of the National Park Service, where I was a coral reef monitoring diver for 5 national parks, and I got to go on multiple research cruises, which was so awesome. And as Josh said earlier, I'm currently a program coordinator at Rasmus, so I can answer any questions you guys have about the program or the school, as well as the Tropical Marine Ecosystem track. So feel free to message me in the chat, and I'll also put my email in there too.
Thanks, Kat. Next, we're going to go to Emma, and Emma did a lot of the tours at our virtual open house last time, so you might recognize her.
Thank you, Josh, and hello, everyone. Like Josh said, my name's Emma. Maybe you saw me doing the virtual tours, but I'm here in my apartment today. I graduated MPS in 2017, and I was part of the Tropical Marine Ecosystem Management track. My internship was with NOAA Southeast Fisheries Science Center, which is actually right across the street from Rasmus, which is really cool. That's kind of how I got my internship, was literally just by kind of like walking over there and talking to scientists after I had done my research, of course. So I worked with a scientist named Dr. Margaret Miller. They do offer this internship every year, but it's not with NOAA anymore. It's actually with a company called Seacor. And so Dr. Margaret Miller works at Seacor and runs the internship that I did. So what I did for my internship internship was we did a coral disease project. We were looking at how Acropora cervicornis and palmata, these staghorn and elkhorn corals, how they have differential responses to disease. And we actually published an article on that got published last year, which is really exciting. So yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Feel free to reach out to me in the chat. I can put my email there as well. And I look forward to speaking with you guys. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Emma. All right, so I might have 2 more people who are going to show up in the next little bit. So if they do, I'll kind of move some things around to get them in there. One of them is going to be Vicky Knapp, who was a Climate Society student, but actually is now doing broadcast meteorology. So she might actually be able to cover both of those areas if you've got questions. And I've got Ian Tomcho, who is going to be coming in probably in the next half hour or so, who's exploration science. So if you see them coming in, feel free to chat with them, and I'll try to get them a couple of minutes as well to chat with us as well. But after that, we are going to transfer over to registering for classes. And before I get to Evan, who is going to lead that session, I actually want to do a quick poll for y'all. Let's see if I can get this to work. And really, it's just have you registered for classes yet? So I'm launching that poll. I'll give y'all about 20, 30 seconds to kind of do this, just to kind of get an idea of how many people. And then we will move on and have Evan kind of start. So like I said, about 10, 15 more seconds on that. Evan will be talking about how to register for classes, quantity of classes, if you're interested in taking 4 or 5 per semester, and really the average amount that students might be taking. And then being able to waive certain classes if you may have taken classes before, that kind of stuff. So that will be what Evan works on. I'm going to end this poll really quick. And so just if y'all are interested to see the results, because I know some of y'all are probably freaking out like, oh my gosh, I haven't registered for classes yet. So not many people have. So y'all are all fine. I know a lot of advisors have just finished up their finals for spring semester. So a lot of them are going to be starting to do classes as well coming up soon. So, all right. So from that, I want to go over to Evan, who will start kind of talking about those classes.
Hey everyone, thanks for coming out today. So yeah, I'll talk a little bit about what it's like to register for classes and how to do that. So those of you that have verified with our program or have been accepted and are thinking of coming, you're going to be registering in the next couple of weeks to months for fall classes. The way that that's done is you consult with your advisor, and your advisor should be named in your acceptance package. If you're confused as to who your advisor is, just get in touch with the MPS office and we'll let you know. Usually reach out to them, and I've been doing all my advising over Zoom, which I think is great because I can do it from my bedroom. And we just have a discussion basically about your career goals and what you're going to want to be doing when you get out of your degree at Rosenstiel. And then we go ahead and have you send us an email with those classes, either on the course registration form or just in text. It really doesn't matter. We take that email as your consent basically to enroll you in those classes. And then we at the MPS office do all the enrollment. You'll notice if you go on Canelink, if you're verified already and in the system, you'll see you have an academic advising hold on your schedule. That hold is, everybody has that hold, and that hold stays there the entire time you're at Rasmus. It's really just so that you guys can't go in and change your schedules around, because unfortunately if we allowed that, it would be absolute chaos. So we're the only ones that are allowed to actually go in and change your schedule around, but it's really a back and forth between you and your advisor. We try our best to let you author your own degree here. It's a lot different than undergraduate in that way. We're not going to pigeonhole you into one direction or another. There are a couple of required or strongly advised classes, but even in those cases, if you feel like you already have a background in whatever that class might be, or you really just don't feel like you want your career to go in that direction, always get a hold of your advisor, me if that's the case, and we'll figure something else out so that we can tailor your degree a little bit more towards exactly what you want. Typically people take 4 3-credit classes in the fall and 4 3-credit classes in the spring. So that's 12 credits and 12 credits, and that takes care of your 24 course credit requirement. But there are other credits to play with, and sometimes people take more credits in one semester than another, and that's all fine. Again, it's just a discussion for you to have with your advisor. Josh, am I forgetting anything?
I think that's pretty good. Did you talk about quantity of classes, the number they can take?
Yeah, I can get into a little bit more. So I mentioned the 24 course credit requirement, and that usually means 8 3-credit classes. There are 6 credits remaining because it's a 30-credit degree. So there's another 6 credits that we consider internship credits. Internship credits, you only need 1 to be fully enrolled for an entire term. And you don't need to use all 6 of those credits for your internship. You're only required to use 2 of those credits for your internship. So essentially you have 4 credits you can play with. You can either use them for your internship, or you can use them to take an extra class or a number of extra classes. We usually recommend students use those credits to take some extra classes and get more value out of your degree. And that's basically all I'll say about that. We'll cover all the rest of this at orientation when people get here. But I think that sort of covers how registering for classes work. And if you're one of those people who have verified already and you haven't registered for classes, now you know the next step, which is to get in touch with your assigned advisor.
And Evan, can you really quick go over, there have been questions about people who are possibly wanting to waive some classes that they may have taken in undergrad that could be kind of similar to the classes that we're offering, such as maybe a GIS, or even if they had the option of doing a scientific research diving, something like that. How would they go about doing that?
Good question. I briefly mentioned this, and like I said, we want you to author your own degree. So if you feel like you have experience in something that we're requiring you to take already, have that discussion with your advisor. If necessary, have that discussion with me. I'm always very lenient on these things. I want you guys to be able to take the path that you want through your education and into your career. Yeah, I think that's about all that needs to be said about that. You can actually transfer credits over from another institution to actually use as credit here in this institution. The big caveats to that are, number one, you have to get in touch with your advisor so that they can get that class evaluated by the faculty that teaches a similar one here at UM. So they have to sign off on it. And then number two, that class and those credits cannot have been used towards another degree. So in other words, if you took a very similar class in your undergrad and that counted towards your undergraduate degree, you can't actually use it for credit here. You might be able to get a requirement waived. As I said before, that's just a discussion between you and your advisor, but you won't be able to get those credits to count. So I think that's all we need to say about that.
Hey, Evan, can you talk about the Galapagos course and whether or not it will be offered anytime in the future during the summer? We know right now it's offered during the fall.
Great, thanks. Good question. Thanks, Kendra, for reminding me about that. So the Galapagos course is a full 3-credit, full semester course, and at the end of the semester, usually we take a 2-week trip to the Galapagos, and we learn everything hands-on that we learned in the classroom. It's ecology and ecotourism is what Kendra's referring to. For right now, all courses in the summer are online only, so it wouldn't really serve anybody well to offer this course in the summer. So there is not one offered this summer. However, the one for the fall is at this point open. And at this point, we are going to be starting classes in person and on time in the fall. That's as much information as we have. So I can only assume that that means our trip to the Galapagos in December will be able to happen. Now that, of course, hinges on a lot of things, including Ecuador's government and whether or not they're going to open up travel and things like that. But we have a lot of time before December. So we are enrolling students in the fall section of MBE 643, which is Galapagos Ecology and Ecotourism. So that's about it.
Perfect. Thank you, Evan. All right, next I'm going to go to Kendra, who's going to talk about students who are interested in possibly starting their internship during the first semester. And she'll go into more details. Quick synopsis on that. I highly encourage you don't do it unless you are in something right now. But Kendra, take it from there.
Hello, everybody. My name is Kendra Velez. I've been emailing with some of you already. If not, I work closely with Josh and Evan and Craig. I took over Josh's position as the associate director back in 2017. So most MPS students do not start their internships during their first semester of the MPS program. We want you to focus on your classes, get a lay of the land, understand how the program works, get to know who the course instructors and faculty there are, and the university also wants to get to know you. On occasion, we do have students that start their internships during the first semester. Sometimes it's because they were an undergraduate of the University of Miami. They've been collaborating with the host organization that has ties to the University of Miami, or their background is already quickly aligned with a project and the advisor and Evan approve. MPS is an accelerated program, so time commitment is a big issue. We want you to get your classes done out of the way as soon as possible so you can focus on your actual internship, getting that hands-on experience and making those connections. If you are interested in an internship, feel free to reach out to me and to Evan if you already have something in the works. We do have one brand new student that is starting her internship this summer, but again, those are the exceptions. So we consider that on a case-by-case basis. For the most part, we encourage you to focus on your classes. You're going to have a pretty full schedule if you're doing the regular 4 to 5 classes this fall and next spring. So yeah, we want you to focus on those classes, and we want to be able to vouch for you so that if you are representing the University of Miami, we can say this person is competent, knows what they're talking about, and will not only do a good job, but represent the university well.
Thanks, Kendra. I have you for a couple in a row. So can you next talk about jobs and, on and off campus jobs, feasibility during grad school? What do most people do for money in general?
Okay, for the most part, as I mentioned, you'll be very busy completing your classes. You'll be taking a full load during the fall and full load during the spring. That's most of you if you follow the way the MPS program was designed. So that's about 4 to 5 classes this fall and next spring. So with that, our students tend to be limited on time. So most of our students do not actually work during their first 2 semesters, fall and spring, with the MPS program. However, if you are good at time management, we do have lots of students that do different kinds of jobs. Most of them do tutoring. We do have some that are in the service industry where they're waiters, bartenders. Well, for the most part, our students tend to stick to academia, tutoring, babysitting, that kind of deal. Craig and Emma both, I believe, did tutoring, so they can give you recommendations about that. We do have on-campus employment opportunities for all campuses within the University of Miami. And those are posted on the JobX portal, and I can put up that link in the chat once I'm done talking. We do have opportunities on the Rasmus campus specifically. We are a very small campus, so those opportunities are highly competitive. But we have opportunities in the MPS office, like Athena that you met from Underwater Archaeology. We have opportunities in the library, in our business office, shipping and receiving. We even have at our bar and cafeteria on campus, and within various labs on campus. All of the job opportunities for the Rasmus campus will be sent via email. So it's important for you to check your email if you have that set up already. Including the MPS office, we typically hire a brand new student worker every July, August, and we try to hold on to that student for the next 3 semesters, or as long as you're in the Miami area before you go off into your internship. Athena's in a 2-year track, so she's been with us for a little longer. And either Athena or myself can tell you what the duties of the MPS office are, but for the most part, you're filing, assisting everybody in the office, answering student questions, giving campus tours. Athena, do you want to explain what you do a little bit?
Yeah, one of my favorite parts of the job is definitely getting to interact with new students that are coming in or that are thinking about the program. I really love giving tours and answering questions that students have and helping them decide if this is the place that they want to come. Especially, I'm obviously a little biased because I think it's a fantastic school and we're really centrally located, and I can go on about it for a while. So I really love meeting new students. I think that's probably my favorite part of it.
And I would also suggest reaching out to some of those alumni as well who are there. I saw Michelle, I lied. Kristen said that she was in a scuba shop during her time in MPS. So there's definitely a handful of different options that are out there. The other thing, and I know we're going to get to it in a second probably, is there is a shuttle that goes back and forth between main campus and the Rosenstiel campus. So if you do get an opportunity to work on campus, over at the main campus, there are opportunities to take that shuttle. It's free of charge. There's nothing that you have to pay for to use that. So that is something else that you can use as well. And to continue on with Kendra really quick, we're going to talk about any orientation information that she can share with you right now.
Yes, so for everybody that is committed to the University of Miami, our MPS program, as well as MS and PhD at Rasmus, we have a one-day new student orientation on the Rasmus campus. So that is on the island of Virginia Key, about 20-30 minutes from our main campus on Coral Gables. I like to say orientation day is the longest day for the MPS office. We start the morning off with light breakfast. Emma, Athena, and some other student workers give tours of the campus in case you weren't able to tour due to COVID or you're just not here locally. That's followed by a general assembly where we have various speakers. We have the dean of the Rosenstiel School speaks. We also have representatives from student government, the Marine Science Graduate Student Organization. There's lots of acronyms. You'll get to know people from the library. So that's the general assembly where you get information that's relevant to all graduate students at Rasmus, not just MPS students. After that, we break for lunch, and then we break off into different groups where you will rotate between the library, the auditorium, and where you get your Rasmus ID card. In the library, they go over resources there. They set you up with the wireless printer. That way you can print even when the library is closed. We have a printer in the hallway, so you don't actually have to go into the library. You can do your printing even off hours. We go to the facilities building where you get your picture taken and you get your ID card. So if you are a current UM student or an alumni, that ID is not going to work on the Rasmus campus, so you get a completely different ID or it gets upgraded. And then the main part of the breakout session is when you're in the auditorium. I go over the different forms that you'll fill out, the different information that you're aware of, whether it's the number of credits you need to graduate, the rules for the MPS program that fall within the university's bigger umbrella of the graduate school. I answer your questions. So it's a pretty long day. After that breakout session, we have a barbecue on the beach. So you guys get to hang out and socialize, or you're free to go. I will say, typically it is one of the hottest days of the year. Everybody that's been through it can attest to that. So we recommend that you wear comfortable clothing for being outside. There's a lot of mosquitoes. And you can bring a family member or a significant other with you, but they will probably be a little bored because it's a lot of information to go through. It is a very long day. And some of the common areas that are typically open and accessible to the public won't necessarily be available to them on that specific day. So we do encourage you to leave those family members and loved ones at home if you can, just because it's a hot day, it's long, and we have a lot to cover. So we don't want to make them feel uncomfortable. So that is the gist about new student orientation, and it is hosted the week before classes start. That's
Awesome.
it.
Thank you, Kendra. All right. So we are now going to move into talking about housing. So I want to start this off with a poll. Let's see. Here we go. So have you started to look at where you want to live, and have you picked an area? And I want to make sure y'all can scroll to the bottom as well to make sure you see that option of literally no idea, because some of y'all may have no idea where you're looking at. But for those who are kind of have some ideas and things like that, we wanted to throw this out here just to kind of to see where y'all are at. And also for those who have no idea, to see, make sure y'all don't feel left out, because as you'll see in a second, a lot of people have literally no idea, it looks like. So we'll give this a couple more seconds. See if we're getting anything else on here. All right. All right, we're gonna end that poll and we will share those results just so y'all can kind of get an idea. Literally 54% of people have no idea what they're looking at as far as housing, which is why we're gonna talk about this right now. So one other thing before I continue with this part is I've got one more quick poll for people who may be interested in having a roommate. And depending on how this comes back, I may ask y'all to even change your names and stuff in a second to see if anybody wants to start talking about that. So let's see. Launching the poll, are you looking for a roommate? Same house, have your own private room, stuff like that. Just want to throw it out there to see. So we can possibly help you out and maybe start connections with all of that as well. All right, let that go for about 5-10 more seconds. All right, and I'm going to end that there, and we'll share those results too. So as you can see, almost 38% of people are looking for possible roommates. So in a little bit, I'll actually ask y'all to change your names later, not now, later, to possibly start those conversations even with people. We're trying to figure out as we go here, so we'll see how that goes. But this is just to kind of give you an idea of where people are as far as housing, things like that. But talking about housing, what I want to do now is I'm going to, if I can get out of this, share my screen. All right, and so one of the places I know people go to is the off-campus housing website. And right here, you've got the University of Miami's off-campus housing website where you can literally plug in your min and maximum, either per unit or per bedroom, the number of beds, number of baths. So if you've got family, you've got those options. If you're by yourself, you've got those options. And I've seen everything from as low as $500 to as high as $3,500 a month. So, and kind of a wide range in between. So I wanted to at least give you that opportunity to be able to see that this is an option. Another option is going to be once you verify and you say that you're coming to the university, a lot of y'all will be added to the Rosenstiel info listserv. And that info listserv is going to send stuff out all the time on different housing opportunities, people looking for roommates, etc. And so I have seen in the last week a handful that have come through, and it's still just May. So as we get into June, July, obviously those are going to start coming in a whole lot more. But I wanted to also make sure that y'all know that those were options. All right, so from there, I want to go and kind of showcase some different areas. And with the staff, we kind of live all over the place. So a handful of us are gonna talk about each of these. So really quick, I'm gonna start and I'm gonna go with Brickell. As you can see on the screen, Brickell is right off the causeway. This is where University of Miami is. I hope it pops up as that. It doesn't, that's okay. Work, okay, even better. And so that's where the campus is. So when you're looking at all of Miami, Miami is a large city. So you've got this huge, large area over here. Brickell is specifically down in this little highlighted part down here. It's a financial district. It can be a little more expensive down in this area. It is very safe in this area. And so if you're looking for an area super close to campus, this could be a great area to focus on. Going from there, I want to go to Miami Beach and talk over there. Miami Beach is obviously going to be over on the east side, on the other side of the Intercoastal. And the beach kind of goes, you've got South Beach all the way at the point where you see the South Point Pier, all the way up to North Beach. And so there are parts of South Beach that are going to be a little more wild and crazy, for example, more on the beach side, north of 5th, and kind of going up the side over here can get a little loud, especially on the weekends. South of 5th is a little more expensive down here. This is where some of your larger big hotels are. And then on the west side, you've also got a handful of apartments and things over here that are a little bit maybe older, but they can have a lot better prices as well on that side. So it can take a while to get to campus. I just want to throw that out there. There is construction on this bridge. This part right here is the main part that you would take to go to campus, but yeah, so I wanted to point that out. And the next thing I'm going to talk about is downtown, and I'm going to do this in combination with Kendra. Downtown is just north of Brickell. Brickell and downtown are separated by the Miami River. So the river runs right here. Downtown is kind of everything between 395 and the Miami River. So if you're interested in some of these areas, I'll let kind of Kendra take it from here.
Yeah, so I lived in downtown Miami for about a year and a half, about 2 years. It is close to the financial center of Miami. So you're going to have a lot of high rises, a lot of traffic commute, not that much green space, and you're going to potentially be paying a little higher in deposit if you have a pet. I used to live with a very large dog. Having said that, it's very convenient if you don't have a vehicle and you want to commute between some of the major museums, if you because there is the Metro Rail that feeds through it, so you can go from downtown to our campus, get off on the Vizcaya exit and then take the bus to campus, or stay on the Metro Rail and take it to our Coral Gables campus, which is home to financial aid, student accounts, the health center, that type of, those types of facilities over there. I will say it is pretty busy as far as nightlife. There's restaurants and bars. Right across on the water is the marina. It's a well-known international marina, so there's always events going on there. If that is something that you're interested in, this might be suitable for you. It could be a little bit more on the pricier side, just because there's so many more new buildings there and developments there that have more amenities than when I first lived there a few years ago. So that might be convenient for you. Also, if you have roommates, that might work for you. If you have one car, you could take that vehicle to campus together, because parking is an issue in Brickell and the downtown area. So it's more convenient if you don't have a vehicle in that area. What else? I think that's
good. I think I'm gonna have you now talk about South Miami.
Yeah. Are you bringing that up?
Yes, I'm gonna try to, as much as it'll let me on Google Maps. So that's not even really covering it all, but that's okay.
So South Miami is closer to our Central Coral Gables campus, and it and the main thoroughway, US Highway 1, runs through it. It's a lot more residential, and it's got a few open air shopping centers there. The buildings tend to be a little bit older. It's a little bit of an older town, but you might get a little bit more space. They might be more You might get more variety as far as types of accommodations, whether you want a little cottage or a condo, or if you're sharing a house. They tend to be a lot more pet friendly there because they have more open space, therefore more green space. Yeah, I think that's the main thing with South Miami. You will be further away from the Erasmus campus, which is where 90% of your classes will be, and traffic is notoriously horrible in Miami, so you can expect what would have been maybe a 40 to 30-minute drive to be anywhere from 45 to an hour. So if you are dependent upon public transportation, that's something that you want to consider, because again, the public transportation for the most part goes along that main street called US 1. And if you don't have your own vehicle, it can be challenging, especially when you start right now in the fall, where you're entering hurricane season. It's going to be very hot, very rainy. So if you have your own car and you don't mind living a little further away, this might be the right option for you.
Thanks, Kendra. And now we're going to go to Athena, who's going to talk about the roads in Little Havana and that area over there.
So I currently live in the Rhodes area. It is a lot less high rises, but we are pretty close to downtown Miami. We're also really lucky because of the location of the roads, and really just Little Havana in general. We're pretty close to the campus. Like Kendra has been saying, traffic is notoriously bad here. So you can still run into some issues, but I have definitely been on the luckier end of that. Because I live so close to campus. So I've been really enjoying that. There are lots of good restaurants on Calle Ocho, lots of places to live in that area. The roads is mainly just lots of houses, whereas Little Havana is more apartment buildings and that sort of thing. For finding places to live, I definitely use the info email that Josh mentioned. That was super helpful. There are also Facebook groups where people can post. Erasmus students and students post on there looking for roommates or looking to rent out their apartment, that sort of thing. So those are all super, super helpful when looking for a place. So I definitely like the Little Havana area a lot though. So check it out.
Awesome. Thanks, Athena. And now we're going to go to Kat, who's going to talk about Coral Gables, if I can type.
Hey guys, so when I was a student, I actually lived in Brickell, which Josh talked about a little bit before, and then I had moved to Coral Gables, South Miami area, which is where Kendra was talking about before, for about half a year. Coral Gables is pretty big. There is a lot of like larger family home areas. And then there's this area called Miracle Mile, which has a lot of awesome shops and restaurants and like bigger apartment buildings. It's a little more expensive over there, kind of comparable to Brickell prices. But it's really nice. It's a great place to live. It's super safe. A lot of green areas if you like have dogs. And then Coral Gables also extends south to South Miami, which is like where Coral Gables campus is. And like Kendra was saying, it like does the traffic and the commute is like a little too long for me. But I think Miracle Mile area is a little closer and a little more like accessible. But yeah, that's Coral Gables. And then I think I'm talking next about Coconut Grove too.
Yes, but really quick, I want to tell people, don't trust these times that say it right now, because nobody's on the roads. So when it says 19 minutes, that is ideal. So please don't trust that. When we get back into the groove of things, it'll be a little bit slower when it gets to that. But yeah, you're going to go talk about Coconut Grove now.
Yeah, that 19 minutes would be ideal, but I feel like it's always like 25, 30, 35 minutes at least. So then Coconut Grove is where I live now. I love it. I think a very large population of MPS students do live in Coconut Grove. It's really accessible. It can take me 10 minutes to get to Erasmus on like a good no traffic day, maybe 15, 20 on like a normal rush hour kind of day. It's not a bad commute at all. It's pretty, it's like along the water. There's a lot of really nice homey restaurants, like a good downtown area. And then most of the buildings and where you would live around here is, they're more what would you call it? Like smaller condo complexes. They're still apartments. And then a lot of students also live in the Grove in homes, like with 2 to 4 roommates. It's a pretty common way to go too. But down on the map where you can see where it says that little orange dot, like Locale and Bombay Darbar, that's where all the yummy restaurants are. There's a lot of good parks. So a lot of people have dogs in the Grove. And it's right down by Dinner Key Marina, which is on the water. There's all the boats are there. Peacock Park is a great area to go to. So it's just like a really nice, homey area. There is a slightly sketchy area to avoid. I think it's closer to South Dixie Highway. Yeah, down by like Grand and Douglas, like that kind of corner area is a little, I would maybe stay more north and east of that. But besides that, yeah, Coconut Grove is great and definitely an option that a lot of students choose to live in.
Awesome. Thanks, Kat. We're going to go to Emma, who will talk a little bit about Wynwood, Midtown, and Edgewater area. Maybe. All right. Well, I can kind of talk a little bit about it. So this is really a much, I'm going to call newer area right now. You've got Wynwood, which is this side over here. You probably heard about the Wynwood walls and all that. You can kind of see some of the pictures over here. So this, I mean, within the last 10 years or so was kind of a rundown area and has been really revitalized in the last couple of years, 5 to 10 years. So this is a great area over here. They've got lots of good shopping. You've got, you know, lots of food in this area. You've got things like Target and other areas as well. You've also got areas called Edgewater, which is just like it would sound, along the edge of the water. And they also call some of these areas over here Midtown. And so let me see if it'll pop up. Midtown is more kind of in this part right here. But these areas, I would say, you know, try to stay out that southwest corner. This corner is not the best area. So if you've got something along the water, you're perfectly fine. If you're up in the area by Midtown and the shops and Wynwood, you're good. But just to kind of focus on those areas a little bit. So, all right. So I think that's all that we have. Oh, no, I'm lying. Evan, we're going to have Evan kind of talk about Key Biscayne.
Hello again. All right, Key Biscayne. So I actually am a 3-time alumnus of the school. So I did my undergraduate in main campus, I did my master's, and I did my PhD at Erasmus. So I've been living around this area for quite a long time. And I've been living on Key Biscayne for about the better part of 2 decades now. Key Biscayne is a really nice upscale, quieter area than Miami. It's the western side of the island is all multi-million-dollar homes, and the east side of the island has a couple of big beach resorts and smaller condo buildings where there are opportunities for people to live. It's probably not much more expensive to rent on Key Biscayne than it is in Brickell at this point. If you want your own place, you're probably going to be looking at somewhere on the order of $2,000 a month. But if you get a roommate, that can drop down pretty dramatically if you can find yourself a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom. I know that it is a very, very popular area, especially for families. Some of the upsides of it are that you are on the other side of Miami from Rasmus, which means you can take a bike into Rasmus and you're on very, very, little traveled roads. There's not a lot of traffic or anything like that. And you ride through a couple of pretty parks to get there. So you can easily bike back and forth to work. There's no crime out on the island. It's a very family oriented little island. There's the most beautiful beaches probably in Miami are on Key Biscayne. And like I said, there's a state park to the south of us and a county park to the north of us. So there's lots of places to go running and biking and hanging out on the beach. It's just a really nice sort of much more low-key and slower place to live than the rest of Miami. So if that's your speed, and you can spare the extra money for rent, it is a really great place to live.
Awesome. Thank you, Evan.
Sure.
All right. So I think that's all we're going to hit on with housing, but please, please reach out to alumni, reach out to some of us. If you've got specific questions, just ask. If you found a place and you're like, okay, I'm not 100% sure, especially because, you may not have a chance to come down and kind of see it beforehand, let us know. Like, we will 100% help you out and kind of do what we can to give you some information on that. For example, I have my real estate license, so I go around all over the place kind of looking at places and things like that. So if you've got specific questions, just ask, and we will tell you as much information as we can about it. So moving on really quick, we're going to go to Kendra, who's going to talk a little bit about your Rasmus email.
Yes, so Rasmus emails, if you guys have already confirmed your acceptance to the MPS office, then you know that you have been bombarded with emails. The university communicates mainly through emails, and that is especially true for the Rasmus campus and the MPS program. Once you actually confirm your acceptance to the MPS program, Craig and Athena or somebody else from our office will send you an email saying, this is your generic UM email address, this is your Rasmus specific email address. It's okay, they both sync together, so no matter if somebody sends an email to your generic one or your Rasmus one, it's going to the same inbox. It also tells you a little information about all the different kinds of mailing lists that are associated with your account as soon as you're a Rasmus graduate student, meaning there's an Info Rasmus mailing list, and that's kind of like our Craigslist, where you can find anything from bicycles and mattresses for sale to services, handyman, need a cat sitter, it's on there. Then we have our notice mailing list, where it's important information that is relevant to everybody, not just students. And it won't have things for sale on there. It's something that the university, whether it's our specific campus or coming from main campus, wants you to be aware of. We also have our MPS student mailing list. This is where Josh sends out all those notices about job opportunities, whether they're locally, nationwide, or international. This is where I send notices about due dates coming up, things you should be aware of, notes from our monthly student meetings, and there's a few other ones in there, and you can read through that when you get that that email from Athena or Craig saying this is your email account. It's very, very important that you manage your emails, because so much information that you need to be aware of is sent through there. The MPS office also has monthly student meetings with all of our students, where we discuss what's going on in those emails that I'm sending to you guys. But in case you're in class or you can't make it to that meeting, everything's going to be sent via email. Because MPS is such a fast program, you have a lot that you need to be aware of. So it's important for you to manage your inbox and read the messages, especially if they're coming from somebody like Evan or myself. If it's something that's coming from the Info Rasmus mailing list, it's probably, somebody's looking for a cat sitter, so you can just, delete those. Unfortunately, everybody at Rasmus gets those emails. So whether you're the dean, whether you're a brand new student, or you are managing one of our engine rooms on campus, everybody's getting those emails. So there's no way to really unsubscribe yourself from that until you graduate. So the main thing is check your emails, read those emails. And if you have any questions, we always say, send us an email, send us an email. We want it in writing. We want to make sure that we're doing what you're requesting, especially when it comes to registering for classes. Let's say you and your advisor have been going back and forth on classes, and you finally have a set list where he or she agrees and you gave the thumbs up to that list of classes. You can just forward that email to me where your advisor says, yes, I approve, and I'll start registering you. So emails is crucial. It's such a pain in the butt, but it's the reality, especially now given the ongoing health crisis. That's it.
Thanks, Kendra. And just to kind of go off of that, if you are interested in something on some of those listservs, please don't hit reply all. Just message to people individually. We don't need to flood everybody with random, hey, I'm interested in this kind of stuff. So make sure you're just kind of doing emails directly to those individuals. So I saw Ian is here now, so I'm gonna have Ian kind of talk a little bit, a couple minutes for exploration science for those that are here interested in the exploration science track.
Awesome. Hey everybody, sorry I'm late to the meeting here today. I've gotten off another call. If you can't hear me, let me know. But my name's Ian, and I was in the exploration science track in 2014 to 2016. Graduated in May 2016. I did one internship down in the Dry Tortugas. Actually did a bunch of diving with Evan and some other folks that are actually still working there, I think. And a second internship with the company that I work with now, which is Lindblad Expeditions. So I manage all of the expedition equipment for 9 vessels that we own and 3 that we charter. And basically, it's a travel company that does small ship cruising. So in that, I don't get to travel really that much, but kind of work around the globe with a lot of different of our vendors and folks that we kind of work with, and just making sure that guests are enjoying what they're doing. And so in that, I don't really have too much to say on the exploration science program, other than that it was probably one of the best things that I ever did for myself. The classes that we took are just above and beyond with Dr. Haywood and Dr. Broad, also mixing in some of the scientific diving that we did as well. Pretty much every single class that I took and everything that I did during my time at Rasmus, I've been able to put into use and apply to my job now, which doesn't usually happen that often. So I'm super grateful for that. But also too as well, super grateful for this. This isn't something that I had when I was joining the program back in 2013. So it's really, really awesome to see that you guys have moved to this and that there's so much information for everybody to, kind of garner together and work off of. I know Josh said don't go too long on it, but the exploration science program is really, really awesome. Some of the best professors in the world, including, Evan and some of the other folks that are still there. And beyond that, feel free to reach out to me in the chats box or LinkedIn or anything like that. I've worked with a few folks that were interested in the program over the past couple months to a year or so. I'm just kind of giving them some insights into that, and still try to keep in touch with a lot of the folks that I went through the program with and professors as well. So anyways, glad to meet all of you, even though I only see a couple screens at the top, and feel free to reach out. Back to you, Josh.
Awesome. Thank you, Ian. All right. So now we're going to go to what I know 99% of y'all are trying to or want to know about is what the heck our class is going to look like come this fall. So one of the first things, and I'm putting it in the chat right now, is a link to an outline from President Frank and his 4 pillars that he is putting together for the university. So to give you a quick background, we are super, super, super lucky to have President Frank leading our school through all this right now. Just to give you a kind of quick background on him, he was the Dean of Faculty at the Harvard School of Public Health. He was the Minister of Health of Mexico, and he was also the founding Director General of the National Institute of Public Health in Mexico. So if there's any president that I want to be going through this with, it's gonna be him. I want to hit on just a little bit on those 4 pillars, just so y'all kind of get an idea, but I would highly, highly recommend y'all to go and kind of scroll through that, not really scroll, read through that link that I sent below as well. But some quotes from that, I'm literally going to start reading. We need to be 100% sure that we can do that safely. We would never want to put anyone at risk, nor any student or any faculty member or any staff member. But I think it is a realistic expectation to think that we will start on time in August. To make this happen, the university has created a 4-part plan, including provisions for testing, tracing, separating, and vaccinating, which Frank, alongside a task force of other administrators, are working to implement during the school year. The first part of his plan is to be able to test everyone. With a community of 35,000 individuals, including 17,000 students and 18,000 employees, Frank said it is a realistic endeavor for the university given the current capacities of testing at UHealth. Second on those pillars is having students and employees opt into a contact tracing program utilizing applications currently under development. Separating community members, the third pillar will involve social distancing practices on campus that will impact classroom sizes, housing, and the way in which shared spaces like the Shalala Student Center, dining halls, etc. are utilized. And as the world battles coronavirus alongside the flu for the first time this fall, President Frank said the university is recommending that for the fourth part of its return plan, all students, faculty members, and employees will be encouraged to get their flu shots. So having a 4-pillar plan in place, that's kind of the direction we're going to be able to have these classes on campus. And to kind of continue with this a little bit more, this was literally, we got the email last night from Provost Dirk, who is obviously our provost right now, and he was also a leading expert in the biomedical field, working a lot with MRIs and things like that. So once again, I feel like we got lucky with the people who are leading us through this time right now. But from some exact quotes from his email, right now we are preparing for the start of the fall semester on time, on site, and with the comprehensive safety precautions for faculty, staff, and students. A set of university-wide task forces are examining all aspects of resuming campus operations, including instruction, research, and other activities. While the specific details are being defined, here are some of the types of changes we can expect. Physical distancing measures in dining spaces and common areas, face coverings, disinfecting wipe stations, additional sanitizer stations, and enhanced cleaning protocols, COVID-19 testing and contact tracing, and vaccinating, especially against seasonal flu, reduced classroom density, possible hybrid course models that combine both in-person and remote instruction, and then enhanced digital resources and technology. So that is literally right off the presses. Got that last night and wanted to make sure that we are sharing that with y'all as soon as we get this information. So as soon as we get anything else, we continue to pass that on to you all. But from the looks of it, we are planning to be on campus, just doing it safely. For example, some of the stuff that we are looking at are even spots that we've never used for classrooms before. So for example, our auditorium, a bigger space that we would never usually use for a classroom. However, it is a big space that would allow for great social distancing, to allow for a class to be in there. So we're looking at absolutely everything to make sure that we can make this work. All right. So with that, this is something that we are thinking about doing monthly, these meetings. After this is over, we will go back, we'll resend you out the recording, we'll do all that. But at the same time, we also want to kind of get your feedback on how this is going. We want to know what else you want to know, what else that we can be giving you to make it beneficial for you. Next meeting, we're going to try to schedule the faculty, your track faculty, for specific tracks. And with the goal of, and we'll see how it works, doing a breakout room for each of those tracks. So whatever track that you were accepted and verified into, to give you time with those track faculty. So that's kind of the plan. We'll see how that goes for the next month's meeting. But if there's anything else, we'll want to know what we can do to help you. But for the rest of this meeting, what we want to do is just open it up for questions and kind of answer whatever that we can. If you've got personal questions, feel free to continue to text, send messages to alumni, send messages to the rest of staff. I know I've got 100 that I haven't been able to get through yet in here. So I will try to get through that as soon as we possibly can. But if you've got big questions, please, at this point, let's put them in the chat, and then we'll try to answer them, right now out loud with everything. I know last time for the open house, Kendra and I kind of ran through some of those. We've got the rest of our staff around as well, so hopefully that they can chime in, Evan and everybody else. So and I don't know how far back I want to go, so I might just start with literally what I'm seeing right now, unless Kendra, you've kind of gone back a little bit.
I just replied to one about financial aid, but I'll say it right now. The University of Miami just launched a brand new kind of one-stop shop for student needs as far as financial aid, office of the registrar, and student accounts. Now, if you have any inquiries about those offices, as far as like your award package, you submit an email to Canes Central, and that is Canes, C-A-N-E-S, Central as in C-E-N-T-R-A-L, at miami.edu. When you send them an email, or if you go to their website, hopefully somebody can post it in the chat, your inquiry develops a ticket, and that is kind of like your case. And then the members of Canes Central read your inquiry and they respond to you. So whether you have a question about your bill, somebody from student council will respond about that, or if you have a question about your financial aid package, somebody will respond to that, all based through that one ticket that you submitted.
I see somebody else asking a question about fall classes and kind of seeing what's available. I'm literally going to post the link once I find it. And so y'all can have that to kind of start looking at classes as well, because obviously you want to start building that schedule. Obviously you can look at kind of the cheat sheets on the website as well, but here I'm putting it into the chat, so you've got that as well for different class schedules. Okay. Whew. Where do we want to go? Okay, you did financial aid. How many students are joining the MPS program this year? It really depends track to track. That's one of the biggest things, is each track is a different size. Some of our larger tracks, like marine conservation, for example, could take up about 40% of the program, just because marine conservation is obviously more, it's so broad, whether you want to work with sea turtles and sharks, to pollution and policy, or education and outreach, and kind of anything else in between. Some of those can get a little bit bigger. We do have some that are specific sizes. So for example, marine mammal science is usually between 6 and 8 students. They like to keep their quote unquote pod a little bit smaller, just so it gives them an opportunity to make sure we get jobs for these people. So that's the goal for this program, of course, is the job portion of it. And so we could obviously take more students in some of these tracks, but we try not to do that. What precautionary protocols are going to be implemented for orientation? Good question. Obviously, we're going to be doing social distancing and everything like that. As we get closer to summer, we will start looking at everything. It kind of depends on the class size. It depends on a lot of that. If we need to do 2 days worth, we might even do that, where we're bringing in 2 different size groups to be able to go through this, to make sure that we're doing it in a correct way. So once we kind of figure out what those class sizes are, et cetera, we will obviously be sending out more information as we go. When is a good month to move in if you're from out of state? Do I have an alumni or somebody else who might want to chat on that? Maybe Kat or even Emma?
Athena?
Or Athena?
Yeah, I moved out here in mid to late July. So I had about a month to kind of settle in and get used to living here and unpack before everything started that first semester. And for me, that was super helpful, having that month, because I can be kind of slow to unpack. And it's just nice to kind of get the feel of the area that you moved into and not have to worry about unpacking as you're starting all of your classes, because you really just want to be able to settle in, and then once your classes start, just really focus on that. So I do recommend giving yourself a good amount of time, at least 2 weeks before classes start, so you can really settle in. I think otherwise it might just be too stressful. It would be for me anyways. So
I would agree. I think the 2 weeks is a good number as well.
Yeah, I moved in August 1st and classes started like the 15th or 16th, and I thought that was a perfect amount of time.
I will say the more time you give yourself, the better, especially if you are moving into a condo or an association where you have to get approved, and not only approved, but approved by multiple people. So August 1st, 1 month is fine if you're lucky, but I would say the more time, the better, especially if you're not familiar with the area. If you want to check out what the local grocery stores are nearby, the pharmacies, what the main highways are, just to get a feel of the land. So I recommend a little bit more. Practically a local, wasn't born in Miami, but lived here my whole life. So the more time, the better, especially if you're not hearing back from realtors or certain places aren't available during like the one weekend that you're down here for. So the more time, the better.
The next question I see is, would starting in spring change the MPS and marine conservation track experience? It's almost a trick question, I feel like. It's going to be different just because of your you're going to be, instead of having those 2 semesters back to back of getting all your education done and going to summer, a lot of students will do that 1 semester and then do their internship and then come back for classes. Some will even just skip the summer. So they'll go spring, skip the summer, or maybe even take summer classes and then go into the fall, do classes, and then do their internship starting in January. So it really just kind of depends person to person on kind of what they want to do. More people do start in fall. So not that that means anything, but I know like for the camaraderie piece sometimes can be, I wouldn't say difficult. It kind of just depends on the individual. But I would say, and that's one reason why, you know, a lot of people will start in fall just in general is just kind of having everybody else kind of starting at that same time. But it's just different. I wouldn't say that it's a bad thing. It's just a different experience.
Yeah, to build off of that, Dr. Keen Haywood is the faculty track leader for exploration science. He prefers you to take X number or X kinds of classes in the fall so that when spring comes around, you're ready to take these field classes that require the skills and knowledge that you just learned the semester prior. That's the main reason why that track is built that way, to start in the fall. Another thing that Josh already pointed on was that typically if you're starting in the fall, you're going to take a bunch of classes in the fall, a bunch of classes in the spring, and then summer, most of you will start your internships. If you start the exploration science track in the spring, you're kind of going to have a gap semester of not a lot to do class-wise during the summer. That means you're paying for rent, you're paying for grocery bills to start during the summer when you would typically be starting your internship, because you're going to have to take more classes in the fall just to catch up where somebody was if they had started in the fall already. So those are the main reasons to consider sticking to the fall if you're able to, but again, it's up to your financial situation. And you can always reach out to Dr. Haywood directly. I'll put his email in the chat if you don't have it already. But those are things to consider, is you want to be on track with the classes that you need and not spend a semester kind of not taking many classes, because the Rosenstiel typically doesn't offer that many classes during the summer, because we want you out there working, making money, getting your internship experience, and not hanging around down here. We want you to be doing something.
And this is random, but I see a question about international students, and I wanted to go back to the housing question with international students. As of right now, with everything going on, there is a 2-week quarantine period for students coming internationally. I've already had to look it up for a couple of specific countries. So what I would do also, if you're an international student, just make sure that you have time to be able to get here. And if you do have to quarantine at that time, hopefully we're out of it at that point. But if we're not, it gives you a little bit of time to be able to do that as well. I know there's a question on scuba certified through the Scuba Club. Does anybody know the cost on any of that? I'm not 100% sure. If not, we can find that out and then we can kind of let you know. Or just send us an email and we'll get that for you. I see there's another one, financial proof bank statements for international students. Sean, we'll send you an email separately on that. If there are other students who have that question as well, just send us private messages. We can definitely help with that as well. Latest date to defer. Obviously, it's going to be a question on track to track, things like that. We're asking that we get that information by around July 24th or so, just so we can kind of prepare for the semester. There are a lot of students who are wanting to be in certain classes, things like that. And some of those classes will fill up, for example, scientific research diving and things like that. We want to make sure that those students, if you were already registered for classes and you decide that you are going to defer, that we actually can fill those other spots in. Especially with us planning to be on campus for the fall, all those classes will definitely fill up. And we want to make sure that we're getting y'all all prepared for your internships and jobs later on. Let's see, I'm a junior who is thinking about applying, but I'm worried about the cost. And I know we've kind of hit on some of that. Definitely check out those financial links as well that Kendra and Craig have been sending out as well. Same want to know information for international students. Okay, there's another international. Zexy, make sure you send us a message as well. When will award packages be received? That's a good question. From financial aid. Kendra, do you have an idea of what they can do for that part? Can they send, well, I know you talked about Kane Central, so do you want to just run that one?
Yes, so Kane Central was just rolled out maybe 3 weeks ago, so this is brand new for everybody, but typically you would have been able to just go to the graduate professional website that I just posted, financial aid, and contact financial aid through there. Now they want you to go to Kane Central. So that information the MPS office doesn't have access to, so you have to go to Kane Central to find out information regarding your financial aid package. I want to, if you haven't confirmed your acceptance to MPS, you might not know, but the MPS office does not have access to your financial information. So we can only see that you might have a bill. We can't see how much. We don't know if you were awarded a financial aid. We can't see any of your medical information, so whether or not you submitted your immunization, your records for immunizations, or if there's any kind of financial bill related to that. Unfortunately, that has to go through Kane Central or the Students Health Center. So if it's about money, specifically financial aid, you have to go to Kane Central now. And this is brand new. They just enrolled this on us about 3 weeks ago.
And something else with that, I know it's always a question of like, obviously the money side of things is a big question for all this, but something for y'all to understand is registration for classes for the next semester. Really, we can't register you for classes for the next semester until the first semester has been paid for, which, to be honest, is kind of a nice thing. Some schools will say, sorry, you need to have this paid in like the first 7 days and that's it. You'll get emails from them about that. However, they keep you in classes, you're good to go. We just can't register you for the next semester until that previous bill has been paid. So keep that in mind. Registration is usually what, Kendra, in October, November?
It's November. We register students in November for spring semester. And if you need to get registered for fall, I'm doing that right now.
So that's almost an extra 3 months right there. So definitely something to keep in mind. Let's see. Verified, I have an email. Next step is coordinate classes with advisor. Should we build a schedule assuming normal in-person classes? And if COVID prevents certain classes like research diving from taking place, we would just coordinate that with advisors and administrative 100%. That's exactly how it goes. And we'll make the changes as we kind of roll. As soon as we hear something, we obviously pass that on to y'all and you'll know ASAP. Can you attach that link to a follow-up email? Yes. Kat, make a note of that so I can make sure I put that in the email. Is there a Facebook group for accepted MPS students / any other way to connect with students that are looking for roommates? Whew. We have an MPS group 100%, so you can definitely go for that. Kat, can you go pull that MPS link and put it into the chat so everybody can hop on that? I think this is also a great way right here. It's just like if you've got emails, if you've got ways that you want to put your number out there for texting, things like that, please go for it. Kane Central, Facebook.
The link for the, what's it called? The roommate portal? Is that what you're talking about?
No. For the MPS Facebook group.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. Let's see. Is a provost email the final word or are things still subject to change? I would say things are still subject to change. I don't want to say this is 100% what it is. We are passing on the information specifically from the provost and from the president of what the goal is of what we're trying to do. I wish I could give more specific and saying that's the final thing what it is, but as y'all kind of know, it seems right now all day to day on even things changing. But like I said, we are absolutely still planning to be in person as of today, especially getting that email as early as yesterday with that information.
Hey, Josh.
Yeah.
I have a question related to that somebody posted as far as what would happen if there were to be another shutdown or you couldn't come to campus, kind of like what happened this spring semester. Most likely, and this would have to come down obviously from the president of the university, but they would enact the same policies that happened this spring, whereas they would refund a part of, let's say there was on-campus housing like the undergraduates had. Some of the parking fees, part of that would be refunded if you were no longer on campus. So part of that, the same policies would be enacted during the fall. But again, we don't know if that's going to be the case. But that's what the university did this spring semester to those students that actually needed it, and everything was done on a case-by-case basis because obviously we had students that couldn't go back home, so they had to remain here locally, so they were still using certain facilities while other students were completely outside of the state, and so some of that money was put back into their accounts.
All right, so kind of going approximate time frame for students when they're finding out. As soon as we've got everything, your letters of recommendation, all that kind of stuff, usually we've been pretty good about it. 1 to 2 weeks usually is when we're getting out letters, both acceptance and denial letters, and everything's going via email right now. So we try to get that out as soon as we hear from track faculty. We're writing up those letters, we're passing it out. If you have questions specifically and you haven't heard something, shoot me a text, shoot me an email, and we'll follow up. When do we need to have payment for MPS? I think I kind of hit on that, so that's good. If classes are canceled in the fall due to COVID, can the payment be delayed until next semester?
If classes are canceled, then they're canceled and you get that money back. Whether they start and they can't be completed in person is a different question. So that might be the same situation as what happened during the spring semester, where some of those student fees and charges, a portion of that could have been refunded to you. But for the most part, the classes will resume online like we have, like we did this semester.
And I see other students, international students, if you can't get your visa on time, can you extend your admission? Absolutely. We will extend that to spring or to the next fall. It just depends on you and what we can do. It also kind of depends on the track, but that's something that we can absolutely work with the track faculty and see if it's a track that usually only takes people for the fall semester. We'll chat and see if we can get them for the spring. But we'll work. Sorry, go ahead.
To bounce off of that, you don't have to reapply. We already have your information, so you don't have to send like new transcripts or test scores like that. What will happen is that you will have to submit new financial documents showing proof of funding, showing that you're able to support yourself while you're here for the spring semester. So just because the university requires an updated financial information, making sure that your financial situation didn't change from, let's say, August to January, that you're still going to be able to support yourself. So that's the main thing that will change. Aside from that, we can still use your same application, your transcripts, your letters of recommendation if we already have that.
And I'm getting some messages about helping people finding apartments, things like that, of course. Just if you're interested, shoot me a text or an email and I can set some time up to kind of go over those with you as well. Absolutely. Scholarships for international students. So everything is all the same. Doesn't matter if you're from, Melbourne, Australia, or you're from Miami, Florida, it's all the same. International students do have a little bit more things that they have to do, but as far as scholarships or the tuition waivers that we offer, tuition waivers are all the same per person. I'm from DC and I'm planning to late July move out too. There you go. International student, if I cannot get the visa, so I kind of talked about visa. Is there a way to do a double MPS? So there's not a way to do a double MPS, but the nice thing about this is you've got those elective opportunities. So if you are interested in taking some of these classes, say for example, you were marine conservation, but you were interested in taking 1 or 2 marine mammal science courses, you can absolutely do that. As long as obviously there's space in the class and things like that. We have several students who do that, and sometimes they even do their internship related to possibly marine mammal science for that specific example. So, it depends person to person, but absolutely, we don't do the double MPS, but you definitely have opportunities to take classes in many different areas. How many credits is one internship?
I'll take that. Internship credits is just how the university formally acknowledges that you're actually doing something related to your master's project or internship project. So as long as you're registered for at least one internship for that semester, it covers you for that entire semester. So if the semester goes from August to December, you're registered in an internship credit for that amount of time. It costs the same as a regular lecture credit. The good thing about internship credits, though, is that as long as you have one on your schedule, you're considered full-time for that entire semester, regardless of what else is on your schedule. I go over this in great detail during the actual semester, every semester. But for brand new students, as long as you have 9 credits worth of classes, you're considered full-time. So you don't have to worry about that just yet, but it's the same cost per credit, and it's a great way to get full-time status if you're working on your internship project, because the university assumes that you're done with classes, you're just doing your hands-on work, your internship, so you need to be registered and formally covered somehow, and that's what an internship credit is.
I see one, this is just interesting. Coming down from Alaska, trying to go through the Canadian border to come down here, so hopefully it opens up. I'm hoping that you can get through. That's just such an interesting predicament. So hopefully all that'll work out and you can be able to get down here in time. Okay, so good question from Ingrid asking about MCO courses. So the way that everything is labeled out is by departments. Marine conservation is specifically in the MES area. So your courses would be MES, 647 or something like that. So that's kind of how they're labeled. They're not labeled specifically by marine conservation. So you can also go check out the bulletin for each of these. So if you actually go to, and I'll actually share my screen just so you can see this really quick. Share. So if you go to MPS and I'm just going to go to marine conservation really quick, because I think that's probably the easiest one. Marine conservation. You scroll down, you've obviously got your classes over here. You've also got in the fall, so for example, you've got MES 671, so RSM 600. So those are the classes that are kind of listed there. At the same time, you've also got the additional electives. These are just options, they're not even all of them, but you can actually get more detail if you click on this at the bottom, the UM bulletin, you click on that, and it'll even give you even more detail. So if you're interested in knowing what the heck am I going to learn in marine conservation biology, you can go click on this and it'll give you even more detailed information on each of these different classes. So, when you're going into trying to figure out, well, what the heck's the difference between environmental law and policy and coastal law and policy and ocean policy? You're like, oh, a lot of this sounds the same. You can literally go click on each one of those and kind of figure out, okay, now I've got a better idea for each of those. So I would highly suggest a lot of y'all go do that. To kind of figure out that information there. The off-campus website has a tab for roommates too. Beautiful. You're welcome, blah, blah, blah. Financial aid, thank you. Big stuff to TME. My concern is that many courses are hands on the field. How will the institution help accommodate these changes? We're obviously doing everything. It'll be person by person as it comes. So I know the nice thing is we've got 3 different advisors for TME, for example. So Dr. Baker, Dr. Learman, and Dr. Langdon. And then the other nice thing is we've got a lot of alumni who kind of are in that area. So whether it's with Kat, whether it's with Emma, we've got lots of people around that can also help with this. But if things shut down for whatever reason and you're not in the field for some of those classes, I'm sure we're going to find ways to be able to get you that hands-on experience still. It may just end up being either later or later in the semester. So we're looking at all those possibilities for trying to figure that part out. I don't know if Evan's still in here. Evan, do you want to add anything to that?
I am still here. No, not really anything to add. Just that, I hope everybody is well and they're able to make their decision as to whether or not they're going to come to UM, soon. Did we talk about, somebody had a question about deferral somewhere in the,
Yeah, we hit on that a little bit.
yeah, you hit on it already. Okay.
We're still going through. I have literally 77 messages I hear still to scroll through. So
I know it's tough to keep up with that chat.
all right. So next one I got is, does financial aid work the same as undergrad? It is very, very, very similar, if not the identical same. Kendra, do you agree with that?
Yeah, Athena just replied. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Athena. Would it be best if we go ahead and get scuba certified before classes start? So if you're planning to take scientific research diving, you have to have your open water certificate and at least 10 dives under your belt to be able to take that class. So if you don't have that, definitely do that. But at the same time, chat with your advisor, because if some of those tracks don't want you to take the class until the spring semester, and if that's the case, it gives you all fall semester to go ahead and get that as well. But if you got the time during summer, heck yeah, go take it.
Athena, do you want to chime in about this class? Because you actually took it, it's a requirement for you.
Yes, yeah. I, like Josh was saying, it's definitely, you are required to take it, at least have open water certification. I did find the class extremely helpful. They really focus on making sure that your diving is just something that you naturally do and you don't really have to think about it. So you can focus on the science aspect of what you're doing instead of your buoyancy, and if you're kicking coral, or if you're, in my case, kicking a shipwreck, which you obviously don't want to do. So it's definitely a very, very useful class. But you do have to have open water certification before you start. So you just need to plan around that. So.
And I know I see another one that is talking about, will there be some classes that are online? There's a possibility. It kind of all depends on some of those. There's some classes that could absolutely be taught online. Are the faculty going to do that? I'm not sure. There are some that could be hybrid, depending on the size of those classes. We're still waiting to kind of figure out what direction we're going to go with that. It could be that if it's a Monday, Wednesday class, that the Monday people are on campus and the Wednesday are not. So we're looking at everything right now. Obviously, the ideal situation is getting everybody on campus the whole time, but just making sure that we can figure out the ways that we can make that safe to do. FAFSA, in order to take the fall research diving class, you need perfect. Thank you. Can you get the specific requirements? And I think we've said all that. Can anyone talk about the health insurance?
The only thing that the MPS office can say is that health insurance may require you to maintain full-time student status, whether or not you go through the university or your own private insurer. If you need to maintain full-time student status, you need 9 credits worth of classes during this minimum 9 credits worth of classes during this fall and spring semester. Once you're pretty much done with your classes and you still need to maintain full-time status, that's where the internships credits come in. But that's all that the MPS office can say about that. We have we don't have any say over waiving the health insurance or not, or what those fees are. You'll have to reach out to the Student Health Center specifically.
All right, so let's keep going. Okay, you're talking about health insurance. Perfect, we did that. Yes, I was about to ask that too for health. Beautiful. Scuba membership is $55 for a semester, I believe, and the open water course is $240. You can go to umscuba.com for more specific info. Thank you, Heather. Does research diving have a class over winter? Evan, do you want to touch on that? Are we planning on doing that? I'm not quite sure.
So there isn't a class over winter. We were at some point discussing if we had enough interest to put together a class in summer, starting in May or June and running for probably 2 or 3 weeks. That's just going to have to be a discussion we have moving forward. Right now, we have 2 sections of research diving in both fall and spring, and that should be enough to cover pretty much everybody. And obviously there's 2 different sections to that. One section goes and does all their dives in Bonaire, and one stays and does all their dives in Miami. And there's an additional cost to the one that goes in Bonaire.
Do we opt in for insurance through our advisors? No, right? That's all in the payment part. Did we talk about that?
No, I don't.
You want to hit that, Kendra?
So everything's done is via CaneLink as far as that. Your advisor is here to advise on classes and suggestions for internship, host organizations, and related projects, not for health insurance. So that is done through CaneLink.
Sexy. I see you have a question about health insurance. I think as long as you can prove to the institution that you have health insurance, then you're good to go. But you do need to have that proof and get it to them and have them approve of that. Correct, Kendra? Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a final date when we decided for sure whether classes will be able to be held on campus for the fall versus online? As soon as we know everything, we are letting y'all know. Right now, like I said, I'm taking everything from the top. President Frank and everybody is planning to do it on campus. Now, keep in mind, the nice thing about us is that we are separate from the main campus. So it kind of makes our life a little bit easier, not having to deal with 10,000 students over at the main campus when literally our campus is like 300 total students. And on top of that, half of them are doing their research. So, you know, we are a small program, a small school. And so we're trying to also make sure that we can figure out and make it safe for everything as well. So as soon as we know something, we are letting y'all know ASAP. TME, people, great. Once you have been verified, you have access to CaneLink, beautiful. I'm international as well. Email the Health Student Center, thank you. Day to day, what is the email for Health Student? Okay, did somebody get the email? Thank you.
I'll do the Health Center.
Athena put it in there.
Oh, thank you. Okay, here's the rest. So thank you. Wow, I'm so far behind, I feel like. Thanks for the Facebook link, thanks. Links in there. Then the email, beautiful. TME, Jason Coral Doc, beautiful. We showed that on campus, that was great. Let's see, SSI, if you have any, beautiful, you can speak. Connect with others, beautiful. Anyone else in fisheries conservation regarding take one's own time. Okay, so here's a question that was sent to me privately, but I think this is a good one for everybody. Would it be advantageous to bring one's own diving gear for scientific research diving? Kat, you want to take that one?
Yeah, so the gear for scientific research diving is like a very specific gear set. So it's like got a back plate, it's very heavy, it's very different than your normal recreational diving. So I actually bought gear right before I took the class, but I didn't even use it in the class. I use it like for my other diving purposes. It's nice to have your own, especially just as a marine biologist. I highly recommend that because it is very expensive to rent gear otherwise. But for the class itself, they provide you gear for the entire time that you are a Erasmus student. And once you are out of the class and a diver and you're still a student, they will provide it for you for your internship or whatever you need. So you don't need to buy it unless you want that specific scientific gear for yourself, if that helps.
And just, you know, size of classes, our classes are very small. So, I mean, usually typically class sizes can are what, 25 or less. I know when I'm teaching classes, they were, you know, 7 to 10 students in my class.
Yeah, and it depends on the classes too. Like Athena's in the underwater archaeology track. Typically, those are very tiny. You'll have about 5 students in there. You have the Geographical Information Survey class, GIS. That tends to be one of our bigger classes because a lot of students are required to take that, but it's broken up into different sections. One with Professor Estebanez, which is about, I believe, 15 students, and then Craig takes another 10 or 12 students. So those are our bigger classes, and the big classes, we have them broken up into different sections. That way you don't have like 50 students in one class. If we do have a big class, we are, the goal is to host it in a larger space, so like the auditorium, just to comply with those social distancing to reduce density. But typically, it's not going to be 100 student class. We simply don't have that on our campus.
No, that doesn't happen. So, Catherine, great to mention that on the fall 2020 class list. It literally has seats. It's the second column from the right. So definitely check that out. You can see a lot of them. I'm looking, it's ATM, but 16, 10, 15. So seats are very, very, very small for some of these. Environmental law is one of the larger ones. It's at 40. But a lot of them you'll see are 20, 10. I see Maria, your GIS class, Maria's is 30. So there's that. Let's see.
Yeah, and the class sizes were increased so that we can put you guys in a bigger space so that you're not crowded and coughing on each other.
Yes.
That's the reason.
Well, hopefully there's zero coughing. Where can I find the type of gear recommended for scientific research or scientific research diving? Kat, you want to take that?
I am actually pulling the syllabus up to see what the exact stuff they
Oh,
did.
beautiful.
But it's not, they don't recommend, or it's not recommended, but you don't need any actual dive gear. You just need fins, mask, all those things. I will send the exact stuff.
Yeah, for the class you need a fins, mask, and snorkel, and they recommend that you get at least a 3 mil, or depending on how cold you get. Some people don't need a wetsuit or anything like that. But I also included a link, gear recommendations, and it's the link directly to the Erasmus Dive website. So.
And I'm looking at, there's another one, a question about class sizes for like MMS. Go back to that list, but I'm looking at one right now. Biology and marine mammals, for example, is 12 seats. So like I said, they are very, very, very small classes. Let's see. Gear recommendation. Thank you. Sorry if you already covered this, but if your acceptance letter has a few items pending, are you still able to register for classes? Yes, so you can still register for classes. Just get those items to us as soon as you can. Especially when orientation comes, things like that, we'll obviously be reaching out and getting that from you. Obviously, even earlier than that, we'll start reaching out and sending some more requests to get some of those items in. I know Athena does some work with that, and I know that Jesse, who also works in the MPS office, will help with that as well. So if you've got those things, send them over to the MPS email, mps@erasmus.miami.edu, or if you need to, send it to me and I can forward it on to them as well.
Somebody asked if there's a checklist for accepted students. It's called the introduction packet. So that usually starts off with congratulations, then this is your advisor, then please contact your advisor so that you can discuss the classes that you need and want for the fall, and it goes on from there. It'll be, make sure you set up your Chainlink account, make sure you set up your email account. So that is the introduction packet that you get as soon as you say, yay, I confirmed my acceptance for fall.
And if you haven't gotten that packet for whatever weird reason, because I have had 1 or 2 people who say they never got it, just let us know. We'll re-forward it back out to you. That's super, super easy. So just let us know. It's already in the email. We just need to re-forward it back out. Correct. So you'll register for the classes and then you pay for the courses later. And that kind of adds to another thing. If you do have tuition waivers, do not pay for those. Just literally, Kendra, tell me if it's changed.
Yeah, so if you are awarded a, let's say a 3-credit tuition waiver for fall, you pay your bill except for the amount of those 3 credits. If you were awarded a 6-credit tuition waiver for your entire time in the MPS program, only 3 of those credits will be waived during the fall. And then the remaining 3 will be posted to your spring account. So whatever you registered during the spring, pay your bill except the amount of those 3 credits. That's how waivers work. So you don't actually get the money. You're simply not charged or paying for those 3 or 6 credits.
I've gotten a couple of private messages. I've skipped over them, but now that I've gotten at least 3, I'll mention it. There are some courses that are not listed right now. That may be added later. So I know, for example, my class usually gets added later on once we kind of see where we're at. So there could be, once again, 3 or 4 other classes that are added. As soon as those classes are added, we will let you all know. So you have a chance to register for those classes as well.
Somebody asked if anyone's allowed to take research diving. The answer is yes, but there's a big but. Students such as Athena and other tracks require their students to take research diving during the first semester in the MPS program. So students like Athena, if you're in the underwater archaeology, exploration science, you're required to take those classes during your first semester. Once those students get priority seating, then we open up the classes to those that are actually require it for their thesis work. So whether you're a PhD student or you're a master's or MPS student, and it's imperative that you have this clearance, you get the next priority seating as well. And then the next seating goes to students that need it for their internships or about to graduate. Let's say they've gotten offered to get a job or conduct an internship where this is a requirement, they get priority seating. At the end of that, we open it up to everybody else. So typically, students that are required to take research diving get first dibs for the fall. And then if you didn't get a chance to take the class at all, usually you get a chance during the spring. But there are certain tracks that require it, such as underwater archaeology, obviously.
I'm getting some questions about having 3 letters of recommendation. If you've already been accepted, you have to have 3 letters of recommendation. We literally cannot give you a diploma until you have that 3rd letter of recommendation. So get that in as soon as you can. We only require 2 to be able to send it off to our track faculty, but you definitely need to get 3 letters of recommendation. If the person is not filling out the form for whatever reason, you need to get somebody else, feel free to have somebody else send that email to either me or to the MPS office, and we'll put that in there. However, we cannot get any letters specifically from the student. They have to come from your recommender. Okay. The deadlines to pay your bill. I mean, I can tell you, Kendra, do you know when they technically are?
I can look that up and I'll get right back to you.
Okay, so we'll tell you when they technically are. In the end, we just can't register you for the next semester until you pay your bill. So you've got time to be able to get that, to be able to pay it. Like we said, registration for spring doesn't take place until late October, November. So you've got time to be able to pay that. You will get emails from student accounts and things like that, I'm sure. If Emma or Kat, you want to talk on that at all, but because I'm sure they're kind of harassing about that stuff, but we just
they email you a lot, but you don't get a late fee.
Yeah.
Yes, it's the nice way to put it.
Let's see. Got to run. Thanks. Good. What is the website to get certificate for diving?
Athena, can you send her for that?
Sorry, what was the question?
Can you send her the website and contact info for the diving, research diving?
Yeah, absolutely.
They're also a really good follow on Facebook and Instagram. So to kind of show you the different stuff that they're doing, really, really kind of neat. So if you get a chance, Rosensteel's scientific research diving, it's great. I'm trying to another meeting. Hello all. Oh, look, there's Craig. Craig's back. So if you got questions, especially on aquaculture and things like that as well, Craig is back, and he's a great person to chat with. Zexy, perfect. Oh, Craig on top of it. Just need to keep scrolling. Okay, glad this was helpful. Good. Looking forward to becoming part of Erasmus. Thank you so much. Is there a link? So, a link for cost. We can send that. Shoot me an email and I'll get you the specific information on that. I know that there's a specific link that has it, but you can also check the financial page. That's got all the updated numbers as well. Craig, if you've got that and you can send that through, that would be great. Marine conservation. Oh, stop populating. Happy hour. I agree. I am ready to go get a drink. Let's see. Where are we? Awesome to meet y'all. Feel free to reach out. Thank you. Billing. Thank you, Kendra. All right. I think we're caught up. All right. So what I am going to do, because I know there's still like 81 people in here, and I know there's probably some private chatting going on, I'm going to leave this up. So y'all can keep kind of chatting and stuff like that, because once I close it, it kind of goes away. So I'm going to leave y'all a chance to kind of keep talking. But yeah, please feel free, keep chatting, everything like that. Is graduation in the spring semester. We do graduation in fall and spring. So there's definitely kind of a combination of, it just depends on when you graduate. So for example, in general MPS, a lot of students will graduate at the end of the fall semester. So if you're starting in fall 2020, most likely you're going to graduate in fall 2021, that December. And so, but there's, like I said, graduation in December and graduation in May. If you do end up graduating in summer, Most likely you'll be walking in December, but at the same time, we've had students who also walk in May as well. So it kind of depends person to person. Are there any aquaculture campus positions? I'll let Craig kind of talk on that. Thanks to the alumni. I wish I would have recorded earlier. I can't believe I forgot. And I felt bad that I interrupted Erica of all people at that time. All right. If you start, okay, that was Craig. Perfect. Thanks. All right. Thanks, Josh. Everyone else. Okay. This is very informative. Todd, see you in the fall. Thanks for your help. Signing off. Bye, Athena. You might be gone already. TME, thank you so much. Anyone in Marine Conservation? Thanks, guys. All right, perfect. So like I said, I'm going to keep this. I'll sit here for about another 5 minutes or so and answer any other questions too. Everybody else feel free to sign off. And I'll leave this up for a little bit until the participants drop to like nothing, so I don't cut any of y'all off having y'all's conversations. So thank you all for coming. And once again, email, text, anything that y'all need. I know I've gotten a bunch of texts that I need to respond to and catch up with some of y'all as well. So, and we'll send a follow-up email with the link to all of this as well. So you can go back and kind of recheck out if you had any questions, and then we'll do a quick survey, probably 2 to 3 minute survey, just so you can help us out so we can do the future meetings and hopefully be as informative in the future. All right, thank y'all.